Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for everyone behind the scenes at MacDevOps for such a cool conference. This is also my first time speaking at any conference and my first MacDevOps conference. Thank you. I'm Michael, and I'm here to talk to you about the Marketplace of IDEs, a bad play off of Marketplace of Ideas, and how Jamf EAs and parameters can help you with some management of them, namely the IDE extensions, or kind of any other marketplace where there's no real admin console. IDE also stands for Integrated Development Environment, so it's just any application that gives you all the tools you need for coding, something like VS Code. And in short, this is a tale of someone not in security who had to quickly work on a security-related incident with pretty much just one tool with Jamf, and how that journey kind of helped make something efficient and repeatable for some future issues. And just quickly, a little bit about me. I've been at Datadog for 4 years as an endpoint administrator. My team supports over 8,100 employees with over 3,000 in the engineering org. And fun fact, keeping a little Mac OS here, I recently ran the Big Sur Marathon in California. Looked just like the wallpaper. And it was very cool and very hard. Let's go all the way back to June 2025. So happy first birthday to this security incident that we had. It was just a typical summer day. It was a quiet day. I was on call. I'm packing up my bags. I put on my headphones and I'm like, whoa, that song sounds a lot like the paging alert sound. Because it is. Because I'm getting paged. So let's find out what's going on. So I'm reading through the incident, and our AI DevX team, who focuses on bringing AI tooling to our developers, relayed a message that they received from Anthropic that was that a vulnerability was discovered in specific versions of the Cloud Code IDE extension, which could read and access IDE data. And this even had a CVE number, so buckle up. Our AI DevX team also began looking into ways of remediation, and Anthropic also relayed that you could just updating extensions and restarting the IDE should do the trick. So I'm reading through. These are completely reasonable steps. This team sent a general announcement in Slack to raise awareness, but folks are on PTO, some people might not see this, and these tools are really key. And they knew this had to get solved quickly, so more folks got together and realized, hey, the endpoints IT team could be able to help out here. So back to me getting this page. I'm reading all this, I'm like, okay. I'm a little new to this world of extensions. I had GitHub Copilot and like 4 themes. That's about it. And it quickly became apparent that there's no overarching admin panel for these kind of devices or these kind of apps to see like what's going on in your fleet. So these must live somewhere on the machine, and I found them. In the user folder, there's a hidden VS Code folder, and then there's an extension folder, and then you can see the names of the extensions and the versions. Okay, well, how can I pull what people have installed? I'll make a Jamf extension attribute, so a little script that will run and just check on these directories every time the machine reports into Jamf its inventory, and then just ls those directories. Well, it turns out we thankfully already had this in place. It was looking in that exact same folder, so that's cool. So I said, okay, let's make a smart group. Let's try to gather all the devices that meet this requirement. And I'm clicking and I'm clicking and I'm trying to add some criteria, but there are an awful lot of versions between 0.2.116 and 1.0.23. So instead of just creating just an endless list of criteria, maybe we can use some regex. So the EA reported each of these as a new line, and AI helped me make quick regex that I could pop in here for any number between those versions. And then the smart group was basically the VS Code extension matches that regex. You remember this group. So I saved it, saw a few machines popped up, double checked their inventory just to be safe, make sure, is this just like a misreporting or anything? But no, it was indeed being reported in that EA, so it's time to get to work. And this is what the EA kind of report looks like in Jamf. And here's that smart group. So if that extension attribute VS Code get extensions matches regex, you're in the group. So what do I do with this information? So we're obviously not going to just ping individuals to remediate this themselves, but there's no admin panels. So quick Googling around, I saw there's some CLI commands to interact with VS Code. Okay, that's scriptable from afar. And the ones that kind of popped out to me were, okay, you can update them, you can uninstall them. So could it be this easy? Well, we're only 5 minutes into a 15-minute talk, so no. And then just here's like a quick, just what I was kind of looking at. Like, okay, these are some options we have. So let's take a look at updating the extension. Off the bat, it updates all the extensions, so not a big deal, but I just thought, okay, you can't target one. Okay, good to know. So maybe we could just do that and we'll be all set. Kind of. After you run the update, if you look in that directory and then you restart the IDE, if you had any older versions, they do disappear. But then I noticed in VS Code, you can right-click an extension and go to install older version if you wanted to for whatever reason. That's cool. But now I'm thinking, okay, that can get a little messy, but whatever. I mean, we'll keep moving. Then on a test machine, as I was poking around at this, because I was just trying to work quickly and make every possible scenario I could, there was one instance where I ran the update command. It got the latest extension, but there were permissions issues. It did not remove any of the older ones. And I looked online, and some other folks had the same issue. And I'm just thinking to myself, I just don't want these on the disk at all. So if I can help it, the best version of this is going to involve some cleaning as well. And here's just that option. So you can go pretty far back in time for some of these extensions. A cool option, but just not really complicated some things for me. So what about that uninstall command? So similarly, they're still on disk until you restart the IDE. That's again with Anthropic. Let us know. But you can't specify the version you want to uninstall. It's just by the extension ID. So I was thinking, okay, there could be a world where someone has the safe one and the vulnerable ones, and then they all go away. And would that interrupt their work? Or the next time they open this, like this might be a bit more of a headache for them. And I don't want them to have no functional version at all. So I'm starting to see that, that this marketplace just doesn't have all the things an admin might want just yet. So yeah, a little mix of some CLI, a little bit of elbow grease. So first I just kind of did some quick surgical RM just removals, like, hey, can I get these out of that directory? I can, cool. What would the ideal script look like? Well, I like doing that update. You'll get that latest one, and if it takes care of the other ones, cool, the vulnerable ones. But if not, also looping through and just making sure we can remove those, and then just logging each removal. I want to be able to give all the stakeholders all the reporting possible. So this looked to be a good plan. And here's just kind of an example. So vulnerable extensions are in an array. Find out the logged in user, because we're going to need to know where that user folder is. Where the binary for VS Code lives, so we can run the update command, and then just kind of keep looping through and remove. Okay, we've got a plan now. Just one wrinkle though. Insert car screeching brake sound here. Because I saw that this also affected Cursor and Windsurf. And I never had Cursor, and I literally just heard about Windsurf reading this. So, am I back to zero? So I installed them. They looked an awful lot like VS Code. As I'm frantically Googling around, I realized, okay, they're forks of VS Code. Okay, that's cool. And they actually install the extensions in a somewhat similar spot. So, user folder, hidden cursor folder, user folder, hidden Windsurf folder. So I was panicking, but now I'm seeing a bit of a templative idea here. Because I want to work quickly. This is a security incident, but I want to work cleanly too. And there's multiple applications, there's multiple versions of this, and I just don't want to have too many scripts I have to manage. That's when I thought, wait a second. Maybe since some of this is repetitive, how much of this could be like a template? Because again, those IDEs, they really only kind of differed. The extension destination really only differed by the product name. Each version could be in any number of these IDs. You could have 2 in Cursor, 1 in Windsurf, 4 in VS Code. Also, what if this happened with another extension? Or another IDE? I just learned about one 2 minutes ago. So what if we have to just I don't want to have to keep iterating from scratch every single time. So we should future-proof this, and we can with Jamf parameters. And just really quickly, Jamf parameters kind of allow you to define variables in your script with $4, 5, or 6. And then in Jamf itself, when you add the scripts to a policy, you can actually fill in what you want those values to be. So just a little screenshot of what it kind of looked like for us, and I'll break that down more in a second. So yeah, this now became a little bit more modular. So $4 was the name of the app that you're looking to remediate. Since they really only kind of differed by the name of the app, Once you put that in there was a case statement in the script that just said, oh, took the simple string that you put in there. Oh, that's cursor's path. Continue on that path. And for any WinSurf or VS Coded. $5, I made it a 1 or 0 if you wanted to update or not. I figured, what if there's some interesting future where the latest one was bad and you don't want that one? So I didn't want to have to make this even more messy, so you could not update if you wanted. And then $6 was just a comma separated list of all the directories that you just need to get off the machine. I knew the directory name structure, so I just went to the release notes and I had Claude kind of organize them in a string for me. And then I tested locally using that formula, just made little fake folders, and it was able to remediate, which was nice. So it took about a few hours and testing all this and a lot of learning, but now I finally had an extension attribute per IDE that reports all the installed extensions when the computer updates its inventory. Number 2, smart groups with regex that captured all those affected devices. Number 3, I had policies per IDE with the removal script parameters. I did that mostly for reporting reasons, just to kind of see on my Jamf dashboard kind of cleanly each one of these as I reported into stakeholders. And I also included a maintenance payload where it would update inventory at the end of this. That way, after it runs through the whole script, checks back into Jamf and says, hey, this isn't on here anymore. And then they're out of that group. And yeah, that would dynamically change, which is great. I can easily export this list and share it. And in just a few days, thankfully, all the devices had that vulnerable extension removed. It was not a huge user base that had them, but we still want to get that off there. And then I also knew, because of that install older version, if anyone else got this later, that could also kick in for them too. It would just be dynamic there. And yeah, that was just kind of helpful there. You can just show in Jamf dashboard. That restarting part was also kind of a tricky part of this too. How you handle that really depends on your environment. You could have this in the script, but that could be quite an interruption. Could have pop-ups and notifications. That could also be a little intrusive. We had a pretty small affected user base from this, and we actually just reached out via Slack to just restart their computer. Good to do anyway. We see uptime in Jamf, so we can kind of confirm if this was done. This also does when the restart the IDE and get the previously used extension out of memory. And you could even stage a Jamf policy to restart, give them some kind of schedule, or give them some kind of deadline and schedule that with messaging there. But we didn't have to use that, thankfully. But I think the takeaway from this for me, especially not even like 2 months after this, was that this could kind of be reused for other things, because this is sort of the world that we live in now, where this is kind of a problem. So the JetBrains IDE was also a part of this, and I had completely different version numbers for the Claude Code extension. So we were able to kind of reuse it for that. There was one with MS Python extensions. We were able to reuse the same thing. We had a list of those, and we could easily take care of that. Now there's malicious extensions. So if you kind of know the directory format for that, and you know where they live, you can use a similar kind of tooling for that. Then we sort of piloted with certain package managers. There's config files you can create with like a minimum release age. So folks can't have anything newer than 2 days old or 3 or whatever. And because of that variability, parameters kind of came into play, because people were like, should it be 2 days? Should it be 3 days? Should it be 1 day? So we can kind of just easily modify that, flush the policy, and have it rerun. But yeah, pretty much any marketplace area where there's just not that kind of admin console, you would need, you're just not getting all the tooling that would be really helpful for maintaining a fleet. And just some takeaways to hopefully help you, because it helped me. Knowing where your tools install things. I was new to a lot of this stuff, these IDE extensions, homebrew packages, things like that. You could, just knowing where those are is half the battle. And then the other half of that battle is then build extension attributes before you need them. It was nice that there was already the VS Code one in there for me, but I still had to make 2 others and keep remediating. But this got me thinking a little bit more about these kind of alternative paths. Jamf parameters can turn one script into many tools. That was very helpful for me. And if you can, it's tough, but think about reusability when under pressure. It might sound silly, but just like breathe, talk to your teammates. Everyone wants to get this solved, and the extra effort that you use to kind of parameterize at one point can just pay off the next time you get paged. So cool. Thank you very much.